The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the hosts and guests may or may not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Miami University.
I am going into my last semester of chemical engineering.
I'm a senior journalism major.
And I'm minoring in supply chain and operations management.
I'm a biochemistry major. Classes are going great. Extracurriculars are going great.
I'm an RA on campus.
I'm thriving.
Hi, I'm Jason Megacy, and this is Major Insight. This is the podcast where we talk college life with amazing students about how to find your place and purpose on campus. On this episode, we continue our special summer series that collects some of the best advice we've gotten on the podcast so far. This time, we'll hear from students about how they took the leap and got involved on campus. Whether it was how they found their favorite club, learned how to balance academics with student life, how they found the courage to join an exciting research project, and many more. This is the second of 2 episodes we're calling Advice for My Freshman Self.
I'm James Lukenda. I'm a junior, and my majors are zoology and music performance, and I play the violin.
So, I mean, it seems like you kind of knew what your lane was from an early age, right? And that's, I don't want to say a luxury, but it's a special thing because not a lot of people have that. So what would you say to somebody who may not be in your shoes, but they may be a little more apprehensive on choosing a specific major because they don't really know if that's what they're down for or things like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think the way to go is just to try a lot of different things. Dip your toes in like everything. And whether that means like in high school, maybe doing a lot of extracurricular activities and doing some research on your own about things you're interested in, regardless of what classes you're in, trying different sports in different seasons and, arts maybe, and just dipping your toes in everything. And then when you come to college, maybe you come in as undecided or as a major you think you might like, but take classes in a lot of different areas. In college also, there's tons of clubs and, there's clubs for everything. Facts. Like every single time I hear someone is part of a club, I'm like, wow, I've never even heard of that club.
Yeah. Now, the last one I have for you is you're 18-year-old James walking on campus with your violin. What advice would you give him for the next 3 years?
I think sort of what I was talking about earlier, being more engaged with clubs and extracurricular activities. I know freshman year, I went to Mega Fair and saw all these clubs, and I put my name down for a lot of them, and I really didn't engage with many of them. Like the Bird Club, I wasn't super into at the beginning. And now, of course, I'm vice president. But getting into that earlier and meeting more people through those clubs, I think definitely be something I would advise myself to do. And I'd say the other piece of advice I'd give myself is not to limit myself to these like strict paths. And coming in with an idea of where you want to be and what you want to do is nice. But in some ways, it's also like a curse because, you're so sure. And then any doubt comes up and you sort of have this crisis that's a little too late. So just having my mind open is something I would definitely wish I had done.
My name's Olivia Casey. I'm a senior from Cleveland. I'm in a couple of things on campus. I'm in a sorority, and I'm very passionate about studying abroad and traveling, and I'm going to be a future teacher.
And then coming in freshman year, what was the biggest shock to you? What was the biggest adjustment you think you had to make coming in on campus?
I did feel homesick. I was 4 hours away, which, I'm not out of state, but I did feel homesick. And I would, FaceTime my mom once a day. And I was like, will I ever get over this? And now you're a senior and you're like, oh, wait, this is the life.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I completely feel that because I kind of felt a little bit of isolation coming in freshman year, because it's this big, wide new world that you don't know. No one gives you a playbook on okay, this is how you get through college. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to kind of feel your way around. So on the flip side of that, what was something that was kind of surprising to you that you were like, oh, I thought I might struggle with that, but in actuality, it kind of just came naturally to you?
Yeah. The getting involved, I've always tried to get involved with wherever I am. So getting involved in Miami, it was an easy transition. Going to the Mega Fair and meeting people through those organizations I got involved in. That was an easy transition for me that I was a little worried about, but it was a success, I would say.
So last question I got for you.
advice for your freshman self?
I mean, it's going to sound cliche, but like what I've said at the beginning is like taking one day at a time. I would say my freshman year, like every day being homesick, but taking every day, one day at a time is huge.
Keep pushing through one day at a time.
Yeah.
Nice, short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet.
Cool.
So I'm Blake Faulkner, current junior here at Miami, finance, entrepreneurship, anthropology. And a little bit kind of about me. So I've spent some time in the venture capital industry, currently have a startup operating in Web3, and really excited to kind of dive into talking with you today.
What was your college search experience like? And then why Miami ultimately was the place for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, it isn't great, but I kind of like fell into Miami in some ways. I applied, I think, to like 11 or 12 schools. And then originally, like, I got denied, I think, to maybe 9 or 10 of those. So it ended up kind of just falling on Miami.
Yeah.
But you know, and that was like, this is something kind of just for other freshmen that might be in this position. And there's a lot more of us than we would probably like to admit. But like, you know, if you're at a university, you're at a college where you feel kind of disheartened that you didn't get into another university, like, you'll learn to make the most of it, and you'll still be able to find friendships and find opportunities wherever you are, as long as you're ambitious and willing to really go for it.
Yeah.
But that's the difference. You have to go for it. And I love it. I think it's great. It's really awesome because when I was in high school, like, I was getting into VC, I was getting into entrepreneurship in some ways. And there weren't a lot of people at my high school that really were into that in the same way that I was. But coming here to college, like, quickly found my community and quickly found clubs and organizations that were like fitting to my interests and really allowed me to be around other people that are like-minded, forward-thinking, building technology, kind of, you know, working to innovate in really interesting ways. And that kind of like, that wasn't available at my high school. So it was cool to really like come here and get involved in that community quick. Also got very overwhelmed with clubs very quickly. I think I applied I had interviews like for 2 weeks straight for clubs. So I came in and I was very ambitious right off the bat. And then over time I've kind of like closed that list in some ways. And, you know, I feel like when you're a freshman, you kind of come in with the mentality of, you know, I'm going to do whatever I can as fast as possible. I'm going to join as many organizations. I'm going to go to as many events. But you get burnt out pretty quick if you do that.
Yeah. So what was that vetting process like for you when you apply? So you have all these clubs. You're like, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. But then that vetting process to kind of hone it in on these 2 or 3 things, right?
Yeah. So when you find your passion, the vetting just happens naturally because you can tell when you lose interest in something, or you can tell when you're in an organization that isn't moving fast enough or isn't doing something that's actually like genuinely interesting to you.
Most definitely. Now, I always tell everybody I like to transition the end of the podcast to like my philosophical questions and whatnot. To you, if you had to describe, what does an entrepreneur look like? What qualities do they have that make up someone who's really about this entrepreneurship stuff?
I think you have to be curious. I think that's the biggest thing. And you also have to have a healthy distaste for authority. I think that curious because you need to be able to actually like lean in and actually look at different business models and look at different situations that you're going through in your life and think, how could this be different? And healthy distaste for authority, like, you have to be ready to buck the system. That is just, it's a part of it. You have to be ready, you know, with Web3 in the metaverse, it's like, okay, we're going to decentralize everything and we are all going to make it, right? Like, it's this mentality that this old system is broken and I'm actually confident and capable of fixing it. It's having that sort of a mindset. And whether you're building technology or whether you're creating something else, I think that that's really important.
My name is Molly. I am a junior here at Miami. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm studying nursing.
If you could go back and sit down with freshman Molly Ferguson, what are you telling her? What advice are you giving her, school-wise, life-wise, all that?
School-wise, I would say create relationship with your professors. Reaching out to them and just showing that you care about their class, they'll reciprocate that energy back to you if you show them that you want to be there and that you want to learn and do well in their class. On a personal level, I would just say, also cliche, but just enjoy every second of it. Like, I cannot believe I'm already a junior. You're a senior. Like, that's ridiculous. I can't even talk about it. But just honestly live in the moment, soak it all in, take advantage of every opportunity you can.
Cool.
My name is Caroline Brega. I'm a senior finance major. I'm also studying sport leadership and management and sport analytics. I'm originally from right outside New York City, and I came here. Miami was actually not my first choice. So glad I came.
Yeah.
I've had so many amazing opportunities outside the classroom that I'm really excited to share.
Cool. So did you know what you wanted when you first arrived?
Looking back, I did not know at all what I wanted. I think I've changed every decision I've made since freshman year. I came in as a finance major. I'm still a finance major, obviously. But being from New York, I thought I wanted to work on Wall Street or do investments in financial planning and things like that. But I quickly changed my mind because I wanted to be involved in something more outside of like finance. I wanted to be a part of a bigger initiative. And I found that in sports. I got really heavily involved with the slam department early in my sophomore year. And that's when I kind of met the professors that guided me along the way and the other students in classes that I was really drawn to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I decided to go with sports.
All right, so, you're coming to the end of your college journey. If you could just go back to freshman year and sit down with yourself for an hour, what kind of things would you tell yourself?
I've never struggled with like self-confidence. I've always been a confident person. I always believed that I knew I would end up where I was meant to be. So it wouldn't necessarily be tell myself that I can do it because I always knew that I could. I always had the drive and determination to get to where I wanted to be. But I would tell myself more so in a social environment, don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to step outside of your comfort zone because it's so easy to get lost in professional things and your schoolwork. But I really think there is a genuine balance that I would encourage myself to find as I progress through my college career.
Yeah, so my name is Julia, and I am a senior architecture student. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I've also grown up doing puzzles. It's something I've always loved to do, and so to me, architecture feels like a big puzzle of putting together many different pieces from many different places and pulling from different information in different places and people and experiences to create kind of this broader picture.
Yeah. So stepping on to your first year in Oxford on the campus, Milwaukee to Oxford, Ohio is not, a quick trip. Just kind of talk to me about freshman year, changes, transitions, how that kind of impacted your experience.
Yeah, it was definitely different, and it was like a totally new world. As a kid, I never went to summer camp, so I'd never even like lived away from home. So it was definitely different and a new adjustment, trying to make friends and suddenly be very independent with my life. I would say the architecture program specifically helped with that a ton because it is such a close-knit community, and so that's where I was able to meet a lot of really close friends and people I was spending time with, and we were all in studio late together working and doing things outside of studio, hanging out, all of that kind of stuff. So that helped a lot. And I had a great roommate freshman year too, who we ended up being really great friends. And that made the transition so much easier as well.
What was your kind of biggest lesson you've learned throughout your college experience?
I would just say kind of take every opportunity that comes your way. I found it really beneficial to be super involved and really kind of trying new things all the time. Really taking everything you can, meeting as many people as you can, doing as many things as you can, and gaining all this experience is really huge to the college experience, I think. It's certainly not easy. There are many days of tears and stress and all of that, but there's so much fun, and the people that you meet as a result are just like, it's kind of the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so my name's Gabe Lenneman. I'm a junior biomedical engineering major with a minor in bioinformatics.
And was that your first original major that you had when you came in?
So biomedical engineering was actually not. I came into college as a biochemistry major with a co-major in pre-med. And after my freshman year, I don't know why, I just kind of started questioning if pre-med was the right route for me. And I was talking to my parents about it, and my dad was also thinking about pre-med one day, like taking the MCAT and doing all the hard work for it. And he was like, pre-med, if you're questionable about it, it's really hard. And if you're questionable about it like at all, then it may not be right for you because it's a lot of work, a lot of extra schooling, a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, and I'm not really sure if I like biochemistry.
For sure,
right? I was
for
a
sure.
biochemistry major, but I was just doing it to go to med school. And I didn't really like biochemistry as much. And that summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I built my first computer. I got really into technology, and I was like, I really like technology. I kind of want to get into this more.
And it all came from that, leap of faith to step out of the comfort zone.
Definitely.
So how important, not just for getting into clubs, but just in general, how important do you think stepping out of that comfort zone is for students?
I think it's very important. I think in high school, I had a lot of regret of not doing clubs like this. And in college, I wanted to change that. It definitely was a hard decision at first, but once you make that first decision to get out of your comfort zone, the rest of the decisions are a lot easier.
Definitely.
So joining the water ski team, going to the lake day the first time, meeting all these new people, I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my life, but it made all the other times meeting new people and joining new clubs just that much easier.
Exactly.
So I think for new people, for new students coming in, definitely joining the one club and joining any club after that or any student organization just gets a lot easier. And I can guarantee you will never regret it because it's going to be a good experience.
Cool. If you could sit down with your freshman year self, first day of college, what advice are you giving to him? What are you telling him?
I would say don't be scared to change your major. Mm-hmm. I would say change your hair a little bit and definitely don't be afraid to take a leap of faith.
For sure, bro. That sounds like a great place to stop. Thank you so much for coming on, Gabe.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Thank you for listening to our special summer series, Advice from My Freshman Self. And as we prepare to bring you an all-new season, next time on the podcast, we'll meet the new host of Major Insight, who will be taking over this fall.
My name is Meredith Aliff. Well, first of all, I just want to say how excited I am about it. I have been looking forward to an opportunity like this since I became interested in podcasting, which I've always loved listening to podcasts. Mm-hmm. I think they're so much fun. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to hear stories and really get to know these phenomenal people at our university that have figured it out and are kind of doing their own path, going their own way, and are totally succeeding at it.
Yeah. That's next time on Major Insight. Until then, you can find many more episodes wherever you get your podcasts.